We're taking you live now to Cairns, where Opposition Leader Peter Dutton is speaking.
Coalition front bench. David Coleman, who has been an exceptional Communications Minister, will take up the position of Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs. He has a great depth of experience in the private sector as well as in the Parliament, and he has a great affinity and respect with and respect from many of the communities, the ethnic communities within his local community. He's done a great job as the Shadow Minister for Communications, and he takes up this very important role at a time when we see Penny Wong and the government trashing relationships with Israel and with other countries. It's time for us to have a change of government in this country, to get our country back on track, and part of that is to rebuild international relations, and David Coleman will be able to do exactly that. I'm very pleased to announce that Melissa McIntosh will be joining the Shadow Cabinet in the role of the Shadow Minister for Communications to replace David. And again, Melissa has done an incredible amount of work in the energy space. Energy affordability is a key priority for us. It's one of our 12 points that we're going to implement to get our country back on track. And she's done a huge body of work in relation to Western Sydney as well, and she'll retain that title. I'm also very pleased to announce today that Senator Claire Chandler will join the Shadow Cabinet as the Shadow Minister for Government Services and the Digital Economy, and also the Shadow Minister for Science and the Arts. Claire is a passionate Tasmanian. She is certainly somebody who's contributed significantly to our team and to the unity that we've had over the course of the last 2.5 years, which has put us in a very strong position to contest the next election. And I congratulate Claire on her appointment. I'm also very pleased today to announce that Jacinta Price, who has done an amazing body of work in Indigenous affairs and obviously led the debate along with Warren Mundine and others in relation to opposing the Voice to save our country from the Prime Minister's attempt to divide our country over the Voice and waste $500 million. And Jacinta Price will take additional responsibility into account, and she, as I say, has done a fantastic job in Indigenous affairs already, but she will take on the important role of Shadow Minister for Government Efficiency. There is a lot of waste that's been generated over the course of the last 2.5 years, $6 billion a year spent on 36,000 new public servants in Canberra. That is of no assistance whatsoever to the people of Cairns and the people of regional communities who want additional investment. And I think the work that Jacinta will do, which will come under the Prime Minister and Cabinet portfolio in government, will be to find Labor's waste. We can start with not having another $500 million Voice referendum that was designed to divide our country. We can start with the waste that Labor's presided over, which will help us reduce inflation and therefore reduce interest rates, which is what the Reserve Bank Governor has been advising the government, but obviously that advice has been ignored. I'm very pleased to announce that Tony Passon will join the Shadow Ministry and takes on the role of Shadow Minister for Roads and Road Safety. And again, Tony's a champion from South Australia, has done a lot of work in this infrastructure space already, and will work very closely with Bridget McKenzie and his other colleagues. Julian Lisa is going to rejoin the Shadow Ministry as the Shadow Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs. Again, Julian's a person with a great deal of capacity. He's somebody who has worked very hard in his local community, but for his country as well. And he has been particularly active, as we know, in the fight against anti-Semitism. And like many Jewish Australians, has been completely, utterly bewildered by the Prime Minister's lack of leadership when it comes to the fight against anti-Semitism. Matt O'Sullivan from Western Australia is going to join the Shadow Ministry as the Shadow Assistant Minister for Education. Again, a very significant contributor, has some fresh thinking and ideas to bring into the portfolio of education. We'll work closely with Sarah Henderson as the Senior Minister in that portfolio, and I think we'll do a fantastic job. Well accomplished in the private sector and has done a great job on behalf of West Australians in the Senate. Shadow Ministry it's an important body to bring together. We have to bring together a diversity of talents, and we have so many people who are talented on the backbench, on the front bench, who are worthy of promotion. and I'm pleased to advise also that the Shadow Minister for Energy, Ted O'Brien, will take additional responsibility as the Shadow Minister for Energy, Affordability and Reliability, and Karen Little is going to take on additional responsibilities in her portfolio for Indigenous health services. The Honourable Michael Sukkar is going to assume the role of Manager of Opposition Business in the House of Representatives, and Michael's done a fantastic job in his portfolio of trying to come up with the policies which will help fix Labor's housing crisis, and he's done fantastic work. I also want to commend the work of Senator James Paterson in the Home Affairs portfolio. Many Australians wouldn't have known James a couple of years ago. Most Australians will know him now as a straight shooter, as somebody with a great intellect and capacity to communicate, and he's very significantly a part of our national security team, and he is going to join the leadership group as part of the changes that I make today. So I want to congratulate all of those colleagues and thank them very much. They joined the Shadow Ministry at an incredibly important time. We're only a matter of weeks, it would seem, away from the Prime Minister calling an election. The personal attacks will continue from the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister doesn't have anything by way of achievement over the last 2.5 years to talk about. The Prime Minister for the last couple of months, so effectively the last 6 months of this term, has been talking about what he might do in a second term of government, but no Australian can tell you what he's done in the first term. Interest rates are up 12 times, food, electricity, insurance, all up double digits, and families are really struggling with the cost of living crisis that Labor's created through their budget decisions with no end in sight. The Reserve Bank Governor has given advice to the government about the amount of debt and the amount of spending that's taking place, and of course that hasn't been heeded. The Liberal Party, the coalition, has an incredible capacity to manage the economy, to clean up Labor messes. It's historically what we've done, and it's what we'll do again after we win the next election. And if we can work hard, we can win seats across the country, we can retain the great seat of Leichhardt, and we can do that with an incredible candidate in Jeremy Neal, and in part because of the announcement that we make today that has been led by Senator Susie McDonald. We can say to people right across the north of the country that we have a real desire, a real priority to support you